Hi everyone. My story is on my phone, I'm not just checking Instagram. It's called TRAM Terminus, and it's sort of based on the fact that I can hear the Luas from my apartment and other sounds that I can hear from my apartment figure into it also. So here is TRAM Terminus. You'll get used to the noises, I'm told. The tram terminus is close, but the last Luas arrives at 11:45, so it shouldn't keep you awake too late. What brings you to this part of the city? My landlord is nice. He has the polite, earnest manner of an enthusiastic school principal. But all the same, I tell him it's for work, because I don't want him to know that I will mostly be here alone, without a boyfriend, and I want him to think that I have a steady job. I'm able to pay 2 months' rent with the money Cal gave me to cover my half of the deposit on our old place, and I move in 2 days later. The tram doesn't stop me from sleeping at night, but the birds wake me up. Seagulls squawk hellishly, unrelentingly, at the hint of a sunrise, at shadows, at dusk, at everything. When I was a child, my mother told me that seagulls only came inland before a storm, but they seem to be around here all the time. At 11:45, usually 11:46 as a matter of fact, every night, I hear the last Luas arrive. It's a hoarse, hollow howl, like the slow release of a death breath, as it presumably lays itself to rest. I never hear it leave, and I never hear the same sound during the day. I put this down to not being at home much, or being soundly asleep when I am there. It also may be that the sounds of the city, the sirens, the seagulls, and the civilians, force it into submission. After some shaky interviews, 5 or 6 weeks later, I get a job answering the phone at a kitchen supplies company in an industrial estate that, luckily, is accessible via the Luas line. Otherwise, it is miles from anywhere. As I learn 2 weeks into the job, when I arrive at the tram terminus and discover that, due to ongoing construction, the tram will be out of service until further notice. The trees that line the tram track are gone. The landscape en route is half-filled concrete, metal and dirt, the greys and browns of an artificial autumn laid out by now. The seagulls call out in protest on my walk to work and speckle the paths in front with a scattering of something that almost looks like snow, but fouler. At the end of the day, I go to a pub near my office and drink until the walk home becomes an exciting prospect. But then I get there, I get home, and I hear it, the haunted howl of a Luas arriving. I look at the time, 11:46. So it is running. The next morning, I go expectantly to the stop and see the same out-of-service sign. I wait a while. I wait too long, and am late to work, not having seen a single tram run my entire walk there. That night, I ask the man I've brought home if he hears it, as I do again at 11:46. Dazed, out of breath, he says no, the Luas isn't running because of the cross-city construction work. Which reminds him he'd best leave, as he will soon be unable to get a bus home, but we should get another drink sometime. Alone, I wait on Wednesday to hear it again, and I do. I hear it every night that week. A low, dull drone that lasts about 30 seconds before ceasing to be entirely. The sound is unmistakable. The same I've heard every night for months, but I think it's getting louder. Perhaps, I tell myself, the sound travels further without the insulation of the trees that used to be just there at the track. Are they running test trams at the terminus at night? I text a friend who lives nearby. She doesn't answer me, so I Google it instead, but find no reference to this anywhere online. Following the weekend, I don't much remember. I awake from a nightmare that, unfortunately, I can't forget. Stood on the platform of the tram terminus, I hear the familiar rumbling hum of the Luas approaching. Looking down the tracks, I can't quite see it, but the hum still gets louder and builds to a howl as something terrible rises from the ground to overpower me. As I am awoken by a gull outside, its shrill morning shriek matching my own. Trampling alongside the tracks that day, looking around at the bare horizon, bereft of life as seagulls shuffle underfoot, pecking into holes in the ground, I decide to arrive at the terminus at 11:46 that night and meet the howl where it lives. The construction site by night is muted, even more desolate than by day, looking like the decayed, forgotten filth of a lost city. It's still and bleak and so unnervingly quiet given its proximity to the city and to the rest of civilization. There are no trees through which a breeze can rustle leaves. No feet fall as there is nothing to traipse towards. This is the terminus, after all. I'm so nervous about what I will or won't see that I've been nursing a cold can of beer as I sit at the edge of the curb and peer into the darkness around me. The time ticks away, but silently, digitally, on the time display of my iPhone. And the oxygen suddenly drops out of the air, and it begins that horrible whirring that sounds like the last breath of the entire world. I can't breathe. I can't move. The world beats in and out of focus with my pulse. Blinkered, near blinded, I feel what should be the approach of the tram, but beyond 2 metal barricades blocking off a dugout pit by the path, as in my dream. I suddenly know it's going to hit me, whatever it is, in the pit. It's coming, and I close my eyes to picture something better. Before it stops completely, and I feel the air move past my hair and face, before something pushes back the attempt to smother me out of consciousness. I hear another familiar sound. Ah! 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 I dare to open my eyes. A seagull, suspended in the air above the barricades, wings beating like my heart, is screaming down into the pit, drowning out the howl, drowning out whatever is there, and it recedes. The air clears and can be breathed in, and it's gone. The seagull lands on a nearby bin, plucking out the end of some builder's breakfast. It scatters the remains and leaves inelegantly. I follow shortly after. Thanks guys, that's it.